Imagine a day where children are guided and nurtured in a way that honors their unique humanness. A day where, instead of being expected to change in order to fit in, children can be met right where they're at. Welcome to Where They're Planted, a podcast for parents and care providers of unique children. Caring for a child with a developmental, emotional, or behavior challenge, a neurodiverse brain, or difficult early life experiences can be confusing and exhausting. On this podcast, we'll help your child flourish and strengthen their roots by helping you not only understand them, but also gain the skills to help them bloom where they're planted. We'll use brain science, nervous system tools, collaborative strategy sessions, and a deep understanding of the developmental process to create a fertile environment around your child in order to nurture their growth. I am your host, Jen Bluske, an occupational therapist with over 25 years of experience and a parent coach. My most closely held title, however, is that of a single mom of 2 thriving adopted kids, so I have walked this walk. I am truly excited to share, teach, and dive into these important topics on each episode.
Welcome back to Where They're Planted. In today's episode, we are going to shine our focus on you as the parent. When you become a parent or caregiver, you likely had a vision of what parenting would be like, what your child would be like, and then here you are. Maybe parenting a child whose behavior, strengths, or challenges are unlike what you expected. You have found yourself needing to learn and change, and then learn and change again in order to be your child's best advocate. And where has this left you as a parent? Sometimes exhausted, sometimes feeling alone or unsupported, sometimes with some unresolved thoughts and emotions. Where are you able to become resourced or filled up, or even honored in your experience? Today, we will be having a conversation with a dear friend of mine, not necessarily to provide a definitive answer for how to get what you need as a parent, but to offer some curiosity around the variety of ways to fill your own tank as you continue to show up for your child where they're planted. Marcy Waelti is an equine gestalt coach with 4 years of education in gestalt methodology. She has taught horsemanship for 55 years and has worked with special needs children and horses for 25 years. And she has spent 25 years as an early childhood teacher, 11 years as a center owner herself. She is now retired from early childhood and has expanded her program for children with special needs and their families and horses. In Marcy's work, she is placing focus on not only the child that she works with, but also how parents and caregivers can ground into the truest version of themselves. Marcy has a presence with children and families that embodies this grounded focus in order to really be able to see each person that she works with as their own unique individual. I'm excited to join Marcy today in this conversation about the intersection of supporting ourselves as empowered parents and meeting our children where they're at. Welcome, Marcy.
Thank you. That's quite an introduction there, Jen.
Well, I had a lot to say about you. So start, I guess, by just telling me what brought you to this work with families and children of different types of abilities.
Well, I think you have to go right back to who I am from my very basic values, and compassion for others is probably one of my biggest values that I've had. I've always been the caregiver, always the one supporting others. And it's kind of one of those, if you build it, they will come, right? Whenever I've worked in any situation with children and families, it's the kids with special needs that were drawn to me. I was drawn to them. We worked together with the family to try and do the best we could do. When we started this farm 25 years ago, it was amazing how quickly the agencies found me to ask me to work with those kids. So I think it's just who I am.
I think that is so lovely, having seen you work with families and kids for so many years now. Tell me about equine-assisted gestalt therapy as a modality to understand ourselves as parents.
So the thing about Gestalt is that we come into this feeling that everyone is whole, capable, and resourceful in solving their own problems. So as an equine Gestalt coach, I partner with the horses and the people and myself, and I ask questions to assist people to find the answers for themselves from themselves. So I don't spend time telling them what to do. I'm asking them what they should do. And the questions I ask are based on what I'm hearing them say and what I'm not hearing, right? It's that deeper, what's in the background that is stopping you from finding your answers.
Well, and as a parent, period, as a parent of any child, and then there's so much that goes into what's in the background in your parenting.
Mm-hmm.
What do you notice as recurring themes of what's in the background for the parents you work with whose children just have different abilities?
The first thing that popped into my head is amplified guardianship.
Describe that.
Okay. A parent of a typically developing child is a guardian of that child, and they typically let them make many more mistakes. Amplified guardianship is not, I hate the word helicopter parent, but they are more aware that their child isn't capable of problem solving. So they're right there on top of them. They're seeking services for this child. They're trying to find answers. They're pushing the schools. They're pushing their therapists. They're wanting more and more and more for their child. Mm-hmm. And the more they give the child, the less they give themselves.
Yeah. And so I'm hearing you say that as a parent, when you're really guiding a child with different needs or unique needs, you have to create almost more of a scaffolding around that kiddo, more of a little bit of a way of supporting them or holding them up in order to facilitate all the skills and all of the growth and the autonomy, really, that the child is looking for. And I heard you say right at the end that often is at the cost of their own scaffolding of themselves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and then I see a lot of guilt and shame that they're putting on themselves, whether it's interjects from the way they were raised or interjects from their parents or their coworkers about how they're parenting this child, right? And I don't think it's necessary. I think that if they know who they are within themselves, if they're taking care of themselves, then they can be a better parent because they are healthier and understand more about who they are and where they're coming from for the child.
And really grounded. I mean, in our previous episodes, co-regulation or attachment, we know that a grounded parent is going to be the most supportive or the most going to really allow the child, no matter where they're coming from or what their skill sets are, to thrive. I want to take a minute, just because you are a gestalt equine-assisted therapist. Tell me about the horses. Tell me about how the horses play into this.
Oh, thank you.
Let's talk about horses for a second.
Yeah, let's talk about horses. Horses are natural healers. They want us to feel as good as they do. They vibrate, and this is all scientifically based. They want us to vibrate at their higher level. They will move in when they feel emotional turmoil and stand with you and create in you this feeling of wonder and peace and grounding, using their bodies to tune ours up to their levels. Yeah. They also regulate our heartbeat. They slow it down. Their hearts are much larger than ours and go slower. Our heartbeats will slow down to try to match theirs. Our breathing slows down and becomes deeper to match theirs. Their warmth gives us more warmth, that warm mama warmth that we get, And in deeper gestalt work, they will often come into the drama of what's going on and show you things that you weren't aware of. People with boundary problems, they will go right in and kind of push you out of the way and say, what are you going to do about it? I weigh 1,000 pounds. What are you going to do about it? And the sweet thing is that my horses, if you put both hands on and push, they will give to that. And you go, oh, all I had to do was step up to it and say, you're in my space. That's pretty magical, right? So the horses, my horses, we don't have halters on them when I'm working with adults. We are in the arena with them. They are with us while we're seated and while we're doing our experiential experiences around whatever you need. And they will show us things that we weren't aware of. And maybe I couldn't show them as a human, but the horse is very clear. Here's an area you need work.
It's so interesting, as you're talking, the parallel, I had never thought of it this way, the parallel between what we're as parents trying to provide our kids in co-regulation, right? We're holding space and we're giving opportunity for shift and change for our kids. And as parents or humans, if we're not incredibly regulated in ourselves, that's really hard to do for somebody else. And then the parallel of putting a horse, a very, very big animal next to us to sort of highlight or mirror what we're experiencing and help us regulate through that is maybe sometimes an opportunity for practice, an opportunity for practice around what does it mean to be co-regulated? Because horses, full disclosure, I am not a horse person. I have been in Marcy's arena and they show me things that terrify me because they are able to ground me in a way that I am not typically able to be grounded, which is powerful work. And so that ability to be able to be grounded in that way when you're the parent trying to do this, sometimes for a fairly dysregulated child all day, every day, there's some interesting parallels that I'm noticing there. So in this work that you're doing, and what you see happen in your work and in your sessions. And to be clear, you're not always with the horses anymore when you're working with families. Is that accurate?
That's true. This is Wisconsin, so the weather is a factor. And I actually built a lounge area that we work in when the weather is not cooperating. And because I have so many tools from my gestalt learning years, horse is nice to have. And sometimes we'll go out after our work is done and be with the horse because they can ground us so easily. So sometimes we'll have horses in the arena anyway, but we'll do our work where it's warmer or cooler or not so thundery or whatever. Thank you, Wisconsin. So yes, so some of my work is not done with the horses in the arena. I do have what we call a people pen. If worried about the horses being too close, we put the people inside the pen and the horses are on the outside.
To create that felt sense of safety, right? For the humans.
Yep.
I want to think about a few tangibles. I want to think about parents who are listening are like, I do need to be grounded. It is something that's a value of mine and something I'm identifying that I probably need for my child and for myself. Can you suggest ways for parents, at least to start by maintaining perspective within this idea that I am here to be a scaffold or a guardian for my child long term, and I also am myself? I want to just have a conversation about how we do that, how we maintain that perspective day in, day out.
So in my work with parents of special needs, we figure out who we are first, right? If you know who you are, what your triggers are, where you're reactive instead of responsive, you can pull on parts of yourself. And we learn all about the different parts of ourselves. You can pull forward those parts that will keep you where you want to be. We can rewire the brain by becoming aware of, there's a pattern that I want to get rid of, that I need to change. And then I go, what part of me is reacting to this situation? And what part of me needs to respond instead? So it's taking that moment. And, in your head, that happens so fast.
Oh, it's milliseconds.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's that awareness, that self-awareness of who you innately are that you can pull on to change the way you're reacting or responding. I would prefer you be responding, right, to a situation and not have to react, because then you got to pull yourself back again. You got to come down from the adrenaline. You got to refix all that stuff. But if you can respond rather than react, then you can stay in the situation, stay clear, know where you're going with it, and maybe survive better, right? I have parents who've been through my program who just are amazed at how much more clear they are about their life and about the things going on around them and are not caught up in that drama of that spiral.
And that you said self-awareness. I feel like as we're going down this path as parents of how do we become aware and solid and grounded, as sometimes our kids are swirling around us in their own developmental process or their own dysregulation or trauma responses or whatever it might be. What are some ways that parents can practice that self-awareness? Because we're not going to always get it right. In fact, most of the time, we're not going to get it right when we're just learning. Mm-hmm.
Self-compassion is the second component of what I do in Gestalt. You've got to be able to say, wow, that was wrong. Can I have a do-over, right? Please? One of the things that I do with people is a very quick grounding exercise when they feel like they're being triggered. If they can't pull forward that part that they now know they have, right? I call them shiny bits and not so shiny bits. And they're opposed to each other, right? I mean, I'm this loving, compassionate person, but I got that other part, that's not so pretty, right? When that part starts to show up, I go, no, that's not the part I want here right now. And I literally change because I know it's there and I know what it is and it's not there. If I'm triggered too far, then I can do this grounding exercise that takes me, I don't know, a minute and a half that pulls me back in. The hard part is when the child is already too far gone for you to pull back, and then you're in that. It doesn't work then because you have to have that quiet moment.
But you can do it after.
You can do it after, or you can start your day. I mean, this is a thing that we are encouraged as gestaltists to do 6 or 7 times a day. And actually, my favorite time is right before I fall asleep. And then I am so quiet in my sleep after that.
And so I'm hearing that the practice of just pulling yourself back into the grounded space at any time can really support your brain wiring in those moments when, your child might have just thrown their milk across the room or screamed at the top of their lungs in Target or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And, there's no way that we are 100% calm and grounded all the time.
No.
We'd be comatose.
Right. It's not human experience, right?
No.
It's not,
I mean, I am a naturally calm person, but there are times I lose it. And so just knowing that we can't be calm all the time, that we have to go, oh, there it goes, right? That self-awareness of I'm starting to spiral up myself. Let me take a moment to come back to me. Are my feet on the ground? Can I feel the vibrations of Mother Earth? Which sounds kind of woo-woo, but it actually is there. If you allow yourself to feel it, it's there. And so that's the nice thing about the horses is they have all 4 feet on the ground, right? Mm-hmm. They've got double the amount of grounding that we have.
Right. And, if you haven't had the opportunity to truly know what it feels like to feel safe and calm in your body, the horses are able to sort of amplify it for you, in a way. Right. Which is just one tool. But I feel like this conversation is about there's all of these tools that we can use as we're on this. I think of it sort of as a wave of learning how to ride our wave of regulation or grounding or self-awareness or understanding the parts of ourself. I like the shiny bits and the not so shiny bit, the parts of ourself that are the shiny bits and then the parts of ourselves that, maybe aren't as shiny. And then how that interplays into just how we show up for our kids every day, because showing up for our kids every day is a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. And you said something too that triggered something that I heard. And that is, if we've never felt safe in our life, how can we feel safe for our children? If we're always on the lookout for trouble, we are broadcasting that to our children. So one of the things I do is do that trauma-based care and trauma-informed care and take you back to that place where it began and be able to say what you were never able to say. Because in Gestalt, we believe everything starts in the body and then stays there unless you have a way to release it. So that's part of the trauma work that we do too, is to help you feel calm again when maybe you never have, right?
Yeah, which is such a lovely tie to my lens is occupational therapy. And we talk about this all the time, Marcy, right? That idea that our bodies have to feel safe and, the different modalities that we each use to get there. But the underlying foundation is that as parents, we are our best selves when we know we are safe in our own skin, so that we can show our children and reflect to our children that they are also safe in their own skin.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I feel like I want to wrap up with a few ideas. I've alluded to in other podcasts, like no one's got time for self-care, right? I'm always really hesitant to talk to parents about, I need you to do self-care, because most of us as humans and as parents, if we have 30 seconds to drink a glass of water, that's about what we've got in a day. And so I just want to highlight some things that people can walk away with, just to maybe stew on in the back of their minds. What are some thoughts you have there?
I would say to take the time that it takes to heal yourself, because if you burn out, who's going to take care of these kids? If you fall sick because you are taking on all this stress and not able to reduce it through understanding of who you are and where you are, your body is going to make you pay for it. And then who's going to take care of these kids that need all this care and support? And to know that the answers are within you. And can you find an hour a week to help yourself?
I think that's lovely. And, a modality, today we offered one modality, right? Is, using horses in order to help ground. And, for some of you that really might speak to you. And I'll let you know that Marcy's business, that Zen Farm, will put the link in the show notes so that you can find her if you choose to find her. But finding a modality that fits for feels good and where you feel seen, in order to spend some time focusing on yourself when you have it. And I like your idea, Marcy, of grounding, of literally just spending however long you have feeling your feet on the earth. The power of that is priceless. I think I'm going to leave it there. Okay. I really appreciate our conversation, and we will be back next time. Thanks.
Thank you. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
If you like what you heard today, check out our Empowered Parent Coaching course offered through Thriving Parents Collective. In this course, you will get videos and course content to help you learn and develop the strategies you seek to meet your child right where they're at. Go to the show notes for the link. Where They're Planted is a Lit Path Studios podcast and is produced by Jamie Gale and Jen Bluske. Music is by Gaston Reen and Pod 5. Thank you for loving your child right where they're planted.